Dale Earnhardt Jr. just went public with something that sent shockwaves through the NASCAR community, and the timing could not be more loaded. This isn't just one man's opinion. This is one of the most respected names in the history of the sport stepping forward and telling Fox Sports on the record that their broadcast decisions are actively hurting NASCAR. And when you connect this moment to everything else happening in the sport right now, the star power crisis, the team chaos, the emerging new generation, you start to realize this is about something much bigger than commercials. Denny Hamlin, the Joe Gibbs Racing driver and co-owner of 23XY Racing, broke the issue open on his Actions Detrimental podcast following the Cup Series race at Martinsville Speedway. What he described was a pattern that has been quietly draining the energy out of NASCAR broadcasts for some time now. Here is exactly what happens. A stage ends. The green checkered flag waves. Immediately, NASCAR throws a caution. The pace car rolls out and catches the field. Fox cuts to commercial. About 5 full minutes of ads. When the broadcast returns, pit road opens. Drivers come in for tires and fuel, then exit. And then the entire field has to reset and line up before the green flag finally drops again. Apparently, what's happening is Fox feels they need to see the pit stops, Hamlin said. So, the end of the stage break happens, green checkered, and boom, we're under caution. The pace car comes out, they catch us, and we're under commercial. We're gonna get our commercials in, they're gonna get them in, all 5 minutes of it. It seems like a while. They open pit road, and then it's a reset. We got to line up. It's just so long. The numbers back him up. At Martinsville, a caution on lap 77 ended the stage. Green flag racing did not resume until lap 96. That is 19 straight laps under caution at one of NASCAR's smallest and most intense tracks, where every lap of racing matters enormously. The race saw 14 total cautions for 96 yellow flag laps. Hamlin's frustration about a separate single car incident during the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race that weekend said it all. It was a single car wreck. There's not debris on the track, there's no cleanup to be had, and it's just yellow, yellow, yellow. I'm like, choose already. Dale Earnhardt Jr., broadcaster for Amazon Prime Video and TNT Sports, did not stay quiet. He posted on social media backing Hamlin completely, but his framing added a critical dimension that elevated the conversation. I don't really have a problem with the length of cautions in a general part of the race where it's a natural yellow, Earnhardt Jr. said. My problem is the length of the stage break caution. NASCAR isn't going to get rid of stage cautions. Pocono's a great example. They eat into 20% of the stage with the caution. The stage breaks are manufactured cautions. They shouldn't eat into the remaining part of the race. He also described the stage break cautions as taking product off the shelf, meaning real green flag racing is being consumed by manufactured stoppage time. His credibility here is unmatched. Earnhardt Jr. is a 2-time Daytona 500 winner, a 15-time Most Popular Driver Award recipient, and someone who spent 2 decades as a full-time Cup Series competitor before transitioning into broadcasting. He has seen the sport from every angle. NASCAR did not dismiss the criticism. Brad Moran, the Cup Series managing director, addressed the issue directly on SiriusXM NASCAR radio. We certainly didn't like how long it took us at Martinsville. We're aware of it for sure, and we'll work with our broadcast partners to try to minimize it the best we can. Moran also acknowledged that Martinsville's smaller size magnifies the problem, but he stopped short of announcing any immediate structural changes. Several credible ideas have emerged. Hamlin himself proposed 2. Run side-by-side commercial coverage during pit stops, or return from the commercial break and show a recap of the pit stops rather than insisting on broadcasting them live. Either option would significantly reduce the time the field spends under caution. Jeff Gluck of The Athletic offered a structural solution that addresses the lap counting issue. I don't want them to stop counting laps on the stage breaks. I think those laps need to count. If you stop counting the laps and you're just running, you're extending the actual distance of the race by some unknown amount of laps, Gluck said. His proposal instead, make stage 2 longer, since stage 1 and stage 2 are often roughly equal in length. Building more laps into stage 2 would mean the caution laps consumed during the break would not eat as deeply into competitive racing time. Hamlin himself acknowledged the financial reality underneath all of this. The networks paid enormous sums for NASCAR broadcast rights, and commercials are how they recover that investment. Everyone has a boss, he said, but he also identified the contradiction clearly. Extended cautions risk pushing away the very viewers that make those broadcast rights valuable in the first place. This broadcast controversy does not exist in isolation. It is happening at a moment when NASCAR is already grappling with a fundamental identity challenge, one described most bluntly by Richard Petty, the 7-time Cup Series champion known simply as the King. In a February 2026 interview with Forbes, Petty, now 88 years old, laid out the problem in terms no one could misunderstand. We're really hurting, looking for somebody to break out of the crowd. We have no fox for all of the dogs to chase. It's a multitude of drivers racing against each other with no front runner, nobody dominant. The first time in all of the transitions to different eras we have had this. The parity numbers explain why. In 2025, 14 different drivers won across 36 Cup races. In 2022, the first season of the next-gen car, 19 different drivers won races. In 2024, 18 drivers won. The cars rely heavily on single-source parts supplied by NASCAR-approved vendors, making the equipment more equal than it has ever been. As Petty put it, out of 40-some cars in a race, at least 30 are capable of winning under the right circumstances. This was not always the case. In 1967, Richard Petty himself won 27 of 48 Cup races. President Ronald Reagan attended his 200th victory at Daytona in July 1984. From 1986 to 1994, Dale Earnhardt Sr. won 6 championships in 9 seasons. From 1995 to 1998, Jeff Gordon won 3 titles and 40 races in 4 years. From 2006 to 2010, Jimmy Johnson won 5 consecutive Cup Series championships. These drivers became American sports icons. Today's Cup field, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, collectively hold 6 Cup titles and 7 Daytona 500 victories. Elite by any measure, but few would be recognized on the street by a casual sports fan. This is why the stories coming out of the developmental ranks matter so much right now. AM Racing unexpectedly withdrew their number 25 Ford Mustang driven by Nick Sanchez from the North Carolina Education Lottery 250 at Rockingham with no explanation given. Sanchez sat 25th in driver points after 7 races with a season-best 3rd place finish at Atlanta, but also 3 DNFs dragging his results down. The withdrawal dropped the entry list to exactly 38 cars for 38 starting spots, which means every remaining driver was locked into the race automatically. The biggest beneficiary, Cleetus McFarland, real name Garrett Mitchell, a YouTube personality with millions of subscribers who had been on the bubble for a starting position. He had been testing with Richard Childress Racing, one of NASCAR's most storied organizations, and showed legitimate pace and car control during those sessions. The field was measured in its reaction. Rodney Childers, crew chief for Carson Covapil at JR Motorsports, put it plainly. We need the publicity and we need the personalities. However, is he going to struggle? Yes, he is going to struggle, and if he finishes the race, that would be a miracle, and that's just being honest, right? Justin Allgaier, the 2024 O'Reilly Series champion, added, "It brings eyeballs to our sport, and I think we could always use more of those." Then there is Isabella Robusto, 21 years old, from Fort Mill, South Carolina, the 2025 Arkia Menards Series Rookie of the Year. She began racing go-karts with her brother at age 6, moved to Bandoleros at Charlotte Motor Speedway at 8, and became the first female to win a Legend Car National Qualifier event in Texas in 2018. In 2025, she recorded 9 top 5s and 14 top 10s in full-time ARCA competition, and posted the best finish ever by a female driver at Talladega. She is also currently studying aeronautical engineering at Arizona State University. Her appeal extends beyond the track. Yeah, I think it definitely helps kind of bring in people from all different worlds, Robusto said in an interview with Express US Sports. You have people who followed me from when I was younger, playing football or track and field, or from cooking, cycling, or all the other things I also do. There is already speculation about a future Cup Series path through 23XOI Racing, the team co-owned by Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin, given her connection to the Toyota Racing Development Pipeline. NASCAR has real momentum building in its developmental ranks. Cleetus McFarland crossing over from YouTube to real competition. Isabella Robusto rising through the system on pure merit. Young drivers with massive existing audiences who can bring entirely new fans into the sport. But none of that momentum converts into long-term growth if the broadcast product keeps frustrating the very people who tune in to discover it. He's right, it's also chewing into the next stage and shortening up those parts of the race, taking product off the shelf. Earnhardt Jr. wrote publicly in support of Hamlin. That phrase, taking product off the shelf, is the core of the issue. When a casual fan watches Cleetus McFarland's debut and sits through 19 laps of a pace car circling the track, they do not come back. When NASCAR's broadcast experience fails to match the quality of the racing itself, the sport loses the one thing it cannot afford to lose right now: new viewers becoming loyal fans. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Denny Hamlin are not simply complaining, they are fighting, publicly, loudly, and with full credibility, for the future of a sport that has everything it needs to grow, except a broadcast experience that gets out of its own way.